Hello there and welcome to GamePoints episode 142, your weekly little get-together. We talk about recent gaming news. I am, as always, your host, Stephen Brown, and joining me today is no one. David Smith is currently off at PAX enjoying the last day. I think it actually just wrapped up. He should be back next week, which means all of you get to listen to just one person talking on a talk show, and I know how well those always go over. But we do try to persevere and carry on whenever we can. So when only one of us can do the show, one of us will do the show because it's important to be here every week when we can. If you are watching us live here at Twitch TV/GamePoints, feel free to join in the conversation. Whatever topics, questions, concerns, or hell, just anything you want to bring up in chat, feel free to do so. If you're over at our YouTube page, youtube.com/c/GamePointsPC, feel free to question, comment, like, subscribe, and all that good stuff down there as well. This is as much your show to vent as it is my own, and honestly, when I do this on my own, I do appreciate having some feedback to go from there. But if not, hey, if you just want to lurk around or just lay low, feel free to do so. Anyways, without further ado, let's go ahead and get on to things. And the first thing I want to talk about tonight is the great Spiderman Puddle controversy that is going around. Now, I'm not going to get too in deep about the controversy itself. To sum up, what happened was recently some gameplay screenshots from a scene in the upcoming Spider-Man for PlayStation 4 shows that a puddle is missing that was there in previous trailers, and accusations of downgrading and that the game has been dumbed down, started going flying everywhere. The controversy itself relating to this is kind of dumb. The developers, Insomniac, should be lauded for showing up on Reddit posts and Twitter accounts saying, hey, this is why we did this. This breaks down why this has happened. There are puddles elsewhere we have moved. People are being very hypercritical of a situation and making a mountain out of a molehill. There's no reason to be freaking out over this one yet. We need to actually see the game running in the wild, and then we can make comparisons to what we saw compared to what's going on there. I think a lot of to-do over nothing is being made specifically about this puddle. However, that's not the important part I want to talk about here. The important part that I want to talk about here deals solely with the response, specifically from the game's media side of things to this. There's been a lot of mocking of people who are pointing this out, a lot of calling them babies, etc. And that's a problem. We can look at these guys and say, hey, you're being hypercritical here. Perhaps wait till the game comes out in a lot nicer way, but instead we have to just resort to this tribalistic bullshit where we have to destroy our enemies, etc. The thing is, there's a reason why people are hypercritical on bullshots, essentially. It's because we've been dealing with them for years and years and years. The two big go-tos on this are Aliens Colonial Marines and the Killzone 2 trailer at E3. But this is still a problem that happens to this day. And what happens is a game developer and publisher will sell you a game. They will show you a trailer of a game. They will show you screenshots of the game running on impossibly high-end computers, or even set up to a setting that's not even publicly available, or it's all touched up later to make it look different than what you actually get. It's designed to entice people to buy the shit. They kind of pull a little bit of a bait and switch. And we need to call this out when it happens. And it's been happening for years and years and years, so a lot of people are very sensitive to it. So when they think something is dubious, when something might be afoot, they tend to react very heavy-handedly. My issue is not with saying that this controversy specifically is dumb, because I think it is. I think the whole puddle controversy is a non-controversy. There's nothing here. My problem is that we are so quick to dismiss these guys as concerns when they have legitimate reason and a history of abuses when it comes to this that they can point to. We can't just toss out the baby with the bathwater. What we need to do is go, yeah, hey guys, Spider-Man did this thing, wait till the game comes out. Insomniac came out, they explained what's going on. We should be thanking Insomniac for saying, hey, this is what we did, and thanking them for putting up with all the negativity. But to just dismiss whole cloth their concerns and calling them all kinds of names and mocking their outrage, guys, they got legitimate beef to be outraged here. Not with Spider-Man, but with past instances, and we just need to keep that in mind when we talk about this, and not throw the baby out with the bathwater. Coco for Tacos, thank you for showing up in chat. It has been a long time. David is not here, unfortunately, this week, but he will be back next week. Thank you for showing up. If you want to talk about anything, please feel free to do so in chat. Anyways, I just wanted to address that because it's been way bigger than it should have been. And I didn't want anyone thinking that I missed on what was going on there. So let's go ahead and get into the first big story of last week. And that is another sign of Sony's hubris. This comes via CNET. Sony says you can't have crossplay because PlayStation is the best. Sony doesn't want you to play with your Xbox or Switch friends, the author argued last June. We've known since 2016 that Sony is the only company standing in the way of buddies being able to team across PlayStation 4, Xbox One, Nintendo Switch, and PC since there are no technical limitations. And though Sony has since been shown up by Microsoft and Nintendo, and though Sony enraged Fortnite community, and though Fallout developer Bethesda has badmouthed Sony about crossplay and threatened to hold another game hostage, and even though PlayStation in America CEO Sean Lane suggested that Sony might have actually gotten the message, as of the day this article is written, Sony CEO Kenichiro Yoshida reportedly told the press that his company generally doesn't believe in the idea of opening up PlayStation to cross-platform multiplayer. He said the following quote to The Independent. On cross-platform, our way of thinking is that PlayStation is the best place to play. Fortnite, I believe, partnered with PlayStation 4 is the best experience for users, and that is our belief. Guys, okay. I understand that you, being the head of Sony, feels that playing on the Sony console is the best for people. But at the end of the day, that is not your fucking decision to make. It is on the player to be able to choose what console they want to play on. For example, playing Fortnite on a PS4 when I have a PC sounds like a terrible fucking time. I like playing on a mouse and keyboard better than any controller. So you can't tell me specifically that playing that game on PlayStation 4 is a better experience, because it is not. And it's this hubris that is going to fuck you. Yes, Coco, in other words, if you want to play games with your friends, you better buy a PlayStation 4 and nothing else. That is what they are getting at. They are essentially saying, we are going to be off in our own little ecosystem over here, and all of you get to play over there. And we're bigger and better and why are you all going over that way? I don't understand. This is the same fucking hubris that Sony showed right before they launched the PlayStation 3. And I know this has been a topic I've been hammering on over and over and over again the past few months. But god damn it, Sony, this is the bad old days again. This is the days of the $600 price tag and the you'll get a second job to fucking pay for this console. Everyone else is on board with this. This is nothing but bad press for you over and over again. It is an unforced error, and you keep making it repeatedly when it comes to this. And eventually, you're going to capitulate, or there's no one going to, or you're going to lose a lot of people coming in on this bullshit. I don't get it. I do kind of get it. You guys are the big dog right now. You don't think that the other people matter. You think that you can swing your dick around and people are just going to go, okay, well, I guess we'll just play on PlayStation 4. But we're moving closer and closer to like a singularity on consoles where it doesn't matter if you have Xbox or PlayStation or Switch. They're all going to kind of start running the same in time. Not right now with what we have, of course, but in the next couple years, we're going to see this start to happen, in my opinion. And if you're going to dig your heels in and just refuse to get on the train with everyone else, you will be left behind at the station. And I don't want that to happen, because while PC is my main gaming system of choice, when it comes to consoles, I'm a Sony guy. And you're making me not buy Sony games with this bullshit. I'm having to turn on my old Xbox again or my Switch, because I'm not going to sit here and have let's say for some technical reason they couldn't do it. Okay, whatever. I might still play on PlayStation 4 then, but I'm not going to have some asshole tell me to my face that playing on PlayStation 4 is better when it's just not for me. I could anything that comes out on PlayStation 4 that's also on PC, guess what I'm playing on? I'm playing on fucking PC. Because the PC experience for me is better. And with all due respect to Kenichiro Yoshida here, you don't know what the fuck you're talking about when you're telling me playing on a PlayStation 4 is better than on PC. And you're just going to piss people off. And you're doing it again, and this is the same shit you pulled 10 years ago when PlayStation 3 launched, and it's going to fucking bite you in the ass. Anyways, of course, I'll have the links to the story down below in the description if you want to look at it. If you got let me know what you guys think about Sony saying PlayStation 4 is the best place to play it, and that's why we're not having crossplay. Down in the comments below or in chat right now live. I think a lot of us might be on the same page here because aside, let's say you're a biggest hardcore Sony fanboy, there is something distasteful about having a CEO say, you're going to play it here because it's the best. There's something just distasteful about the way he says the entire thing. And there could be a translation issue, to be fair, but I don't think it is. And this is, we've seen this song and dance from Sony before, and it never, ever works out for him. Next topic, moving on. Battlefield, because I can't get those names straight. Battlefield 5 has been, or 5, let's just call it 5, has been delayed. This is from the EA blog. An update on Battlefield 5 by Oscar Gabrielson, General Manager of DICE. I'll be paraphrasing here. I'll be taking the first half and the last half of this here. Today we're announcing that Battlefield 5 will have a new launch date, November 20th, 2018. I wanted to give a little bit of insight into how we arrived at this new date. We're going to take the time to continue to make some final adjustments to the core gameplay to ensure we really deliver on the potential of Tides of War. We know moving the launch date means we all have to wait a little longer, but we're going to take our time to make sure we get this right. No. Oop, that's my notes. No. That is not why you're delaying Battlefront 5. I'm sure having a little bit of extra time to polish things up and get things ready is great for you guys. But let's be real here. Battlefield is a big enough game that you guys had this date set in stone for a long time, and you can't tell me you've been missing milestones on a game this important. The reason why you're delaying it is because it was sandwiched between Call of Duty and Red Dead Redemption 2. That's right, Coco. Red Dead Redemption 2 would absolutely rip their profits with this one. EA was about to commit another Titanfall 2, where they had a decent shooter that they just kind of sent off to die sandwiched between two major releases. And they saw what was happening here. And Battlefield 5 already has a lot of what I like to call anti-hype behind it. Between the statements of, if you don't like our game, don't buy it. Between the asinine woman in World War II controversy that's going on. Between the fact that it looks like Fortnite. Between the fact that all just the general douchebaggery of some of the devs online lately. And honestly, just overall shooter fatigue when you have so much shit coming out. It wasn't looking good for Battlefield 5. I believe that we reported last week or a week or two ago that pre-order sales were down like 85% compared to the last entry, which was Battlefield 1. This game's fucked. I personally think this is one of the reasons why Patrick Sunderland left EA. He wanted to get the fuck out before this game shipped, and he got the short end of the stick for it. He's like, nope, I don't want to be here for this. That's just speculation, but I think it's valid speculation. I appreciate you guys taking time to make a game good. I always will say that a delayed game is late, but a bad game released early is bad forever. That's not the actual quote from Miyamoto, but I'm paraphrasing it. Take your time and create something good. And if you need more time, take it. But that's not why you delayed this game. We all know that's not why you delayed this game. You delayed it because it was going to get pummeled by those other two games I mentioned, Call of Duty and Red Dead Redemption 2. And that's fine too. But don't lie to us about it. I hate it when a company lies to us about it. Just be honest. Say, hey, the market wasn't looking good for this one, so we pushed it back. And I get that you have investors to appease, and by saying we don't think we can top Call of Duty and Red Dead Redemption 2, that might look bad, but your pre-order sales are already making it look bad. It can't get any worse. And all this does is, once again, build that... Thank you, Coco, by the way. The quote is, "The delayed game is eventually good, but a rush game is forever bad." I knew it was something like that, but I couldn't quite piece it together. That's why I've got chat to keep me honest. You already have so much negativity about this game floating around. The last thing you need to do is add to that by not being honest. And like I said, you could be taking this time to polish up a few extra things. Awesome. Cool. I get it. But you can't tell me a game of this size and scope hasn't had its roadmap plotted out since day one. Come on. No. I refuse to believe that if Red Dead Redemption 2 wasn't coming out this year, that you would have delayed the game a month. It doesn't work. No, I refuse to believe that. Once again, as always, let us know what you think down in the comments below. If you think that EA is just full of shit here, or Battlefield 5 might actually be having some issues. I keep wanting to call it Battlefront because goddamn it. Anyways, let's go ahead and move on to the next game. Another EA game that I heard some things that have me a little bit concerned. This is via PC Gamer, and it's going to revolve around Anthem. Anthem's conversation system allows for 2 dialogue choices. That's right, count them 2. And like I said, this is via PC Gamer. During a Q&A session at a pre-panel press briefing on Anthem at PAX West, BioWare debuted footage of the conversation system players will use in Fort Tarsis, the single-player area of players visit between multiplayer missions. We'll skip down a little bit farther. Here we go. This is the part I want to highlight of this entire story here. Foregoing the complex conversation wheel of the previous BioWare games like Mass Effect and Dragon Age, Anthem will only allow for 2 dialogue choices and conversations. Congratulations, kid. You're going to have to be the super good guy or the dick guy. That's going to be your 2. Or probably even more narrow than that, as the article might hint at. The 2 choices aren't aligned with a moral system of any kind, but do differ in tone slightly, and that's kind of what I'm getting at. They're not even going to be like Paragon or Renegade. It's going to be like sarcastic or serious. It's like, it's going to be along the lines of like, sure, I'll do that, or yeah, sure, I'll do that. But either way, the story is going to lead you to the same thing. Because remember, let me finish with the article, and then I'll get to where I'm going now. When asked why the system was simplified for Anthem, executive producer Mark Darrah replied, "We are showing this to an audience that is not used to these kinds of decisions and conversations. We wanted to keep it simpler, but we also don't want to present you with any false choices." They're dumbing it down, in other words. They are trying to capture with the widest net they can that Destiny shared world shooter crowd, and they're stripping out a lot of the role-playing elements. Now, to be fair to BioWare, they never really said this was going to be a role-playing game. They never really said that you're going to have an epic 120-hour RPG experience with this, because you're not. It's ultimately a shooter. At least I don't think they have. If they did somewhere, please let me know down below. And yes, Salty Frank, that is 2 more choices than I usually get in real life as well. So I can appreciate that sentiment. The problem is the BioWare name. The name BioWare comes with very specific expectations. And Anthem has a very bad branding problem with it right now because of that BioWare name. People are looking at Anthem and thinking, oh, cool, a Destiny version of Mass Effect or Destiny version of Dragon Age, when they should really be thinking a Destiny version of the Old Republic. You can't have all that much of a story in a shared world shooter like this. It's going to be like an MMO. You can have story there, but don't expect it to be anything grander than what you find in Destiny or World of Warcraft. It's just not going to happen. This is going to be mainly focused on the gameplay, getting friends together and blasting big shit, which, cool, that has a certain space that it can fill. I do enjoy stuff like that. I liked my time with Destiny and Destiny 2, oddly enough, before it turned into a grind fest. Those games are fun. But BioWare needs to start hammering home hard that this is not going to be a typical BioWare game. They need to be upfront sounding the clarion call of, hey, this isn't Mass Effect Shadow World Shooter. This isn't going to be a sprawling, complex, deep story RPG. But it's hard to say that without selling your game short. But they need to do something, because I think a lot of people are going into this thinking that this is going to be this really drawn out plot, and it's not going to be. It's going to be there just to serve as a MacGuffin to give you a goal to go hunt out in the bigger world. I am really, really, really concerned for Anthem. I think its curiosity will lead to big first day sales, but I don't think it's going to have much of a tail. And that's what everyone's looking for these days. Remember, Monster Hunter World sold really big, but Capcom's stock dropped because the investors were wondering where's the tail. And if Anthem doesn't do well for EA, I fully expect EA to close BioWare. That just speculation. I don't have any inside knowledge on that, but the stars are saying to me that BioWare's days are numbered. And I don't think Anthem is going to do the numbers that EA wants it to do. And that's just going to be a sad, lonely end to what was once one of the greats of game development. But who knows? I could be wrong. Anthem could be a million seller and everyone loves it, and it could just kill Destiny and stomp all over things. Let's see. Chat. Salty Frank here is asking, he wonders how close in comparison will it be to Warframe gameplay-wise. Slower, from what I've seen. I have not had any hands-on with Anthem yet. I do know they have an open beta coming in February 1st, a couple weeks before the game actually launches, and it's making its way around the convention circuit. I do know a couple people have played it. They said it is very slow. Not very slow, but it is definitely weightier. It's clunkier than Warframe. Warframe is about, essentially, space cyber ninja. Anthem is, I hear the term Iron Man thrown around a lot, so it's a little bit heavier. Not like 40k heavy, where you got like a giant suit of Terminator armor on, but not slick like a ninja either. It's probably walking the line between those two. We'll only see how it goes. Introspect, thank you for showing the chat. I appreciate it. Let's see. It seems they may have been inspired a bit by Warframe. Yeah, a little bit, with some of the... Inspired by in what way? With the open world shared universe, what do we call those? Shared world shooters? That's definitely a Destiny pull. This is EA trying to get Destiny money. As far as what they might have been inspired a bit by Warframe, I'm sure that they've lifted some things from Warframe. I don't want to use the term lifted because it makes it sound nefarious, but I'm sure there is some things inspired by Warframe as well. Those are the two biggest sci-fi shared world shooters that I can think of right now. By the way, Warframe is amazing. If you haven't played it, it is free to play. Take a look at it. I just don't know how this is going to shake out. I want it to be good. I really do. But I'm really worried about it, and I'm worried that the messaging is wrong on this. I think people are getting the wrong message on it. So I'm trying to hammer out right now, this is not going to be Destiny, Mass Effect, the Destiny edition. This is going to be the Old Republic, the Destiny edition, as far as story goes. So just keep that in mind. Of course, as always, let me know what you think down in comments below and in chat and all that good stuff as we move on to our next story. This here is via GameSpot, and I'm actually kind of excited for this one because I was wondering when Capcom would get around to this because it seems so obvious. Via GameSpot, Onimusha Warlords Remastered will release on PlayStation 4, Xbox One, and Nintendo Switch and PC. Amazing. I'm so happy for this. Capcom seems to be doing everything right. With Monster Hunter World, with the Resident Evil 2 remake, with Resident Evil 7 getting back to actual hardcore horror. God damn, am I really excited for what Capcom's doing. Missteps aside. I mean, we can all look at Marvel versus Capcom and the new Street Fighter and kind of just let's push those aside. But for the most part, they seem to be doing well. Let's read from the article itself here. The classic Onimusha Warlords arrives on PlayStation 4, Xbox One, Switch, and PC on 15th of January 2019, so early next year, around the time Resident Evil actually comes out. The game is receiving a high-definition graphics overhaul of its characters, environments, cinematics, and Capcom is adding widescreen support as well that allows for quick changing between widescreen and classic display modes. The studio is also adding support for analog sticks to boost movement and accuracy during combat. Thank fucking Christ. Unlike the original Onimusha Warlords, easy mode will now be available from the start of the game, whereas you had to fail a battle several times before it unlocked in 2001. Lastly, and as an aside, this actually caught me off guard, I didn't know this was the case. Lastly, a new soundtrack is being added to the game after the original game's composer was found to be using a ghostwriter and possibly even faked being deaf. I didn't know that, but it turns out, I had to do some more research on that. It turns out that the guy who composed the original Resident Evil score and Onimusha score and a bunch of video game scores was considered like this modern day Beethoven for a while in Japan. He said he was deaf and he played by like the feel like Beethoven did. And then somewhere around like 20 years after all this stuff came out, he admitted that he was a fraud and that someone else wrote all the music for him. And then there's a good chance he might have been faking being deaf too. That in itself is an interesting story, and I recommend you guys take a look at it. But this is about Onimusha Warlords coming out. I hope it sells well. I would love to see a return to this franchise, as well as Dino Crisis Capcom, while you're listening. I would love to see them both. Do you think the game will have on-disc DLC katanas for $1.99 each? So that is the trick question, right? You never know what they're going to add for DLC plans to these remakes and remasters. I personally don't think it's going to be on there, but they could have it on there. I personally think that this is a test. I don't know if Capcom is too concerned about how well this sells overall. I mean, they want to make their money back, of course. But I think what they're doing here is gauging interest on demand for a new Onimusha game would be. If this sells mediocre, Capcom probably breaks even. Whatever, we move on. We won't make another one. If this blows up, expect an announcement of a new Onimusha. In my opinion, that is what's going on here. I'm probably going to pick it up. I loved Onimusha. I would love to see this franchise revived. Let's not forget that the third one essentially had Jean Reno because it took place in modern-day France. They get wacky, but they're solid, good games, and I think that the world is ready for a new Onimusha. We'll happen to see. Introspect says, I'd like to see a new, good Ninja Gaiden a la the original Xbox One. So I'm going to be that super video game nerd real quick and go, actually, the original Ninja Gaiden was on the Nintendo back in the 80s, and they made 3 of them. But I know what you mean. You're talking about the original remake of Ninja Gaiden, which was amazing and mind-numbingly difficult. But something about that franchise just lost its luster as it went on. It lost its way and just never felt as good as that original remake did. So yes, I would love to see them go back to that original style as well, and we might. Yeah, I know what you meant, Introspect. I'm just being an ass to you. But you know for a goddamn fact that somewhere, someone watching this, of the 10 people who are going to watch this total, is going to make a comment about that. So I just wanted to get that out of the way and just establish, yes, we know Ninja Gaiden was originally a Nintendo game. Or a Famicom game if you really want to get an ass about it. We get it. And I know what you mean. And I'd love to see you go back to that. So, let's move on to the next thing right here. This is more of a personal, I'm really excited than anything else on this. And that is Edmund McMullen, creator of Binding of Isaac, has announced we're getting more Binding of Isaac. And in a tweet right here, it's official. Binding of Isaac Repentance will be the final, for real this time, DLC for Isaac. It'll include an amazing anti-birth mod and a ton of more content that will make you shit your butts. I'm working alongside Fixit Vin to tweak the mod and make it canon. I love Binding of Isaac. Really excited to see more coming, even though I will admit I'm kind of ready for this game to be finished completely. After a while, I need to kind of stop getting more content from it because it's starting to become overloaded in here with my Isaac knowledge as to what item does what. And I get that's a big draw for the replayability of the game, but after a while you do have to kind of go enough is enough. That said, eager to see what comes out for it. Will this be the final DLC? Well, he's promised that a couple times already. We can only see. Yeah, sorry, my throat's dry now, so give me 1 second here. I'm a big fan of Binding of Isaac, though. Always interested in more content from it, even if I am kind of ready for it to be wrapped up in a nice little bow, like the way the FTL guys did when they said, this is the final content update, we're done, this is now a complete game. I like to see the same eventually happen to Binding of Isaac. Last story of the day, as I move things very quickly. Like I said, apologies, this might be a short show because it is only me and I can only talk so much on my own. Let's see, before we move on to the last story, let's address chat here. Ninja Gaiden wanted to make you kick your dog and curse your mom. Yep, I understand that frustration. Salty Frank here. Watching you play Isaac was like watching someone do insane algebra. There is a lot of items in Isaac. So that's why I'm kind of wanting to wrap up. I think once you start getting to that complex of a game and you have that many items in it, you start losing balance. Not that Isaac is 100% balanced to begin with, but the more you add to a system, the more things can go wrong with it. So that's why I'm kind of hoping they stop soon. Last story, via IGN. And this can be chalked up into the, if I had stupid amounts of money, I would love to pick one up, but I don't have stupid amounts of money, and honestly, who the hell does? Via IGN. Gold Mega Man figure has a bomb of a price tag, by Colin Stevens. Capcom has officially unveiled a collectible solid gold Mega Man figure, and it only costs $21,624. There's an image of the figure right there. The figure itself stands 3.9 inches tall, weighs in at 3.2 ounces. There's also a smaller version at 2.4 inches and weighs a little over an ounce. And that one will clock in at $6,217. I love stupid-ass collector things like this. I get that. So, before you all start asking who the hell's going to buy this, I don't think Capcom actually expects to sell any one of these. They might sell one, maybe two. But this is along the same lines as the Saints Row $1 Million edition that actually costed $1 million because it came with a $350,000 Lamborghini or something like that. What this is meant to do is exactly what we're doing right now. Talking about it. Hey, it's Mega Man's 30th anniversary. Let's get the name Mega Man out there some. I know, we'll make this solid gold statue and then go from there. It's designed to generate buzz about Mega Man. That's what these items are for. That said, I would fucking love this guy because I like Mega Man quite a bit. I'm not like the biggest Mega Man fan, but goddamn do I appreciate his stance in history. So much came from that franchise that went on. Into other games, and I think that it is about time Capcom has really started focusing on one of their flagship franchises. Because remember, 5 years ago or so, Mega Man was a joke. Capcom even made, I think it was Mega Man 8, when they remade Mega Man 8, they gave him the janky-looking American box art for Mega Man, where it was the guy holding the pistol, and I believe they did that to make fun of the creator of Mega Man, Kenji Inafune, because he just recently left Capcom. And they got a lot of shit over it, rightfully so. They have since turned the ship around. Remember what I said earlier in the show, Capcom feels like they suddenly have seen the light. They have become the anti-Konami, as it were. And they're going, holy shit, our customers want this? Let's give the customers what they want. Let's actually celebrate our fans rather than mock them. So I'm liking the direction Capcom is going with a lot of this stuff. Of course, like with any company, you have to hold their feet to the fire and make sure they don't stray off like Sony's currently doing. But for right now, Capcom Star is ascendant, at least in my mind. Let me know what you think down below, of course. So that wraps up the big stories in the news. We're going to move on to new releases here in a second. I don't have all that many because David usually does my research on this, but I got the big ones, and this kind of is a big week for releases. By far the biggest we've had in a little while. New releases starting this week are Destiny 2 Forsaken expansion on PlayStation 4, Xbox One, and PC. This is, of course, the one where Cade 6 gets capped at the beginning because apparently Nathan Fillion's budget costs the game way too much. And you are sent out to the Reef to fuck up the Forsaken and Queen Marisal's brother Uldren, I think. Whether or not Marisal's still alive, I'm sure will be unveiled during the game or not. Remember, this was the guy with him and the Queen, or his sister, led the assault on Oryx's ship during the Taken King and just gets wiped out. I haven't seen from him in a while, so I'm kind of curious to see where they came from, but I'm also kind of done with Destiny as well, so I don't think I'll be playing it. But cool idea. Glad to see them moving some plot along here. Also out this week, Dragon Quest XI, Echoes of an Elusive Age on PlayStation 4 and PC. Dragon Quest, of course, being that venerable role-playing game that has been around since the old Nintendo days, rather. Alongside Final Fantasy, these two games have kind of been in lockstep with each other for a long time. If you like traditional JRPGs that are grindy as all hell, this is your jam. The formula to Dragon Quest really has not changed over the years, generally speaking. I know there are Dragon Quest fans who can point out each of the different systems between the two, and I'm not talking nitpicky stuff like that, or even bigger systems. I'm talking for the overall audience. This more or less plays the same for everyone. The big game for me coming out this week, Marvel's Spider-Man on PlayStation 4. I'll probably be streaming that when it comes out this Friday. Hopefully, it'll come out Thursday night at midnight, but the PlayStation Network tends to not update until 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. on the day of release, so don't be surprised if this game isn't playable until Friday morning. Also coming out, NASCAR Heat 3 on PlayStation 4, Xbox One, and PC. You got Slime Rancher on Xbox One and PlayStation 4. Yokai Watch Blasters, Red Cat Core, and White Dog Squad on the Switch. I know Yokai Watch has a bit of a fan base, but beyond that, I have no idea what the hell it is. I think it's a Pokemon equivalent or a Yu-Gi-Oh equivalent or something. And finally, something I've been kind of looking forward to, Zone of the Ender's second runner, Mars, on PlayStation 4 and PC. This is the VR-compatible one, and I might actually have to bust out the old PlayStation VR to play it. If you haven't played Zone of the Enders, it's one of Hideo Kojima's games that's not Metal Gear, and it is an extremely fast-paced kinetic mech game. Now, a lot of people think mech games, they think the slow, lumbering behemoths like in MechWarrior. Don't think MechWarrior, think Macross or Robotech here if you're in America. These things are really goddamn fast, and the gameplay to the second one, Zone of the Ender's second runner here, was exquisite in my opinion. Anyways, that wraps it up for the major new releases, and also wraps it up for GamePoints episode 142. Like I said, I didn't have a co-host today. He is currently coming back from PAX, but David should be back next week, and it will be, of course, a more entertaining show that way, because who the hell wants to listen to just one guy talk for 41 minutes at this point? But I do appreciate you guys showing up, who did show up. Coco for Tacos, Introspect, Salty Frank. Always welcome to have you guys here. Always appreciate you guys speaking in chat. Always welcome to do so. But if you can't show up live every Monday at 8 p.m. at twitch.tv/GamePoints, please tune into our YouTube page, youtube.com/gamepointspc, where I try to put up all the old shows, as well as the occasional review and random musing on a topic that can't wait until the Monday show. If you want to follow the show on Twitter, you can do so at GamePoints PC. You can follow myself, Steven, at CapitalistPig21. And, of course, I stream randomly throughout the day and the week, and sometimes the month. If you like what you see here, you know what all streamers want. Subscriptions, likes, dislikes, comments, bits, subs. You guys have been on the internet. You know how to do this. And with that, until next week, this has been GamePoints 142. And I'm out of here.